Good evening, YouTube viewers. It's Rob again with another tutorial on fitting front bumpers for intermediate level. Okay, so of medium difficulty. We're going to take a bumper off another car and fit it onto this one. But what's going to make this different from the beginner's tutorial, it's actually going to be a bumper off a totally different car, but still has similar characteristics for the bumper that we're using. Okay, so you'll see what I mean anyway. And if you take a note, guys, that is the right time, 20 minutes to 9 o'clock on the 17th, which is a Friday night, and I'm stuck here making a tutorial because I have work tomorrow morning, so I can't go out, and I start at 5 in the morning. It's not cool, but on the plus side, we get this tutorial done. So there's always a positive to everything in the world. Anyway, right, so what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to take the front bumper off this Frog Focus. You see what I've done there? Frog Focus. Yeah, it does look like a frog, and it's not. It's a car, believe it or not. So what I've done, guys, is I've made a selection around the bumper. Okay, at this stage, once you've made the selection around the bumper using whichever selection tool you like, okay, you can use any of these or use the pen tool. I do highly recommend the pen tool, as always. Hit Control C to copy, and you want to hit Control V to paste. You want to rename your layer to so you know what you're working on. So we're going to call this Front Frog. Love it. You're going to hit Control T, and holding down Control and Alt, or just Alt on its own, depending on what you're doing, you can resize it. Okay, and just get a rough sort of size as to what you want to work from, and always find one point that you're going to work from. So for me, I'm going to work from this eye sort of curve fitment type area, and that's going to be my reference point to fitting this bumper. Okay, so I'm going to make it a bit wider, a bit lower. Okay, the beauty of this, guys, is you can make your bumper as big as you want, because then obviously it's going to change the way the car looks. It looks a bit more aggressive if you use a bigger bumper. So I'm going to try and get a fitment here, and don't make it too perfect, guys, because the warp tool is going to be the thing that actually makes it look better. Okay, so just get it roughly to where you want it to be. Okay, so I mean, this is pretty good so far. Maybe this could go up a little nudge there. Maybe we can angle this a bit further down. Okay, maybe we can just adjust this. Right, guys, so that's the rough fitment. Now what we're going to do is perfect the fitment by right clicking into your free transform box and going to warp. Okay, zoom in and start working warp's magic. Okay, so start just dragging out the corners of the areas of the bumper that you want to alter, and as you can see, everything that you do affects a certain part of the picture. Don't worry too much about this area. We'll use the liquefy tool to correct that if you like, but try and get it as perfect as possible so it has less work to do, and that's what you want to do. Right, so the light fitment here is not actually too bad. I mean, as you can see, it does look a bit better than it did before. And what we can do is we can move this up, move this back down a bit, and then we can use this to sort of curve it round if you like. Bring the arch in, because as you can see, the arch is much bigger. So what we want to do is we want to drag this arch in, but you want to try and maintain the arch shape. So just drag in slowly but surely, a bit at a time, and keep adjusting this point, because remember, that's what you're working from. So make sure you keep that reference point there. That looks good, guys. It's getting there. Remember to zoom out and have a look where you're at. So that's looking pretty good. And this is so much fun, guys. I mean, a lot of people might watch this and think this guy is the biggest geek ever. But it's actually quite fun to do, like creating totally different looking cars from what people originally in those, you know, offices with their big suits and their big pay packet every year designing cars. And when you can do it for fun or Photoshop, and 9 times out of 10 you actually make it look better than the original, and that's what's funny about it. So yeah, sorry, that was my little rant anyway. I do apologize for the people that create cars for a living. I love you guys, really, I do. I'm not being mean, I do apologize. Right, guys, so I think we're almost there, and as you can see, this is exactly how warping works. Warping is such a powerful tool in Photoshop, and especially if you're doing this kind of work, guys, it's invaluable. So practice it, learn it well. You know, even if you go on the internet and sort of look at what different things the warp tool can do it, man, because it's worth knowing everything about it. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to select this area here, and we're going to go into filter liquefy. Okay, and we're going to liquefy this specific part, okay, up. Now what I've actually got, as you can see, it's moving it up, and what I've actually got is I've got the push tool. If what you're doing is affecting the picture too much, you can change the size, the density and the pressure of your tool up there, but this brush seems to be fine. And as you can see, I'm just literally, it's like I'm folding it into position, and we're not going to worry about this too much because I'm going to smudge that in as I normally do anyway. So hit OK to save the changes, and as you can see, you've got perfect fitment there around the body. And that's how you use filter liquefy. I mean, in a nutshell, when we do the advanced bumper tutorial, we will be using it a lot more because obviously they're more difficult to fit. And I'm just going to push this arch in a bit more. Right, I'm happy with that, guys. So as you can see, that looks pretty sweet, you know. And when you start to color match this kind of thing, I mean, like I said, I'm going to make a tutorial for color matching, but I'm just going to do this very roughly so you can get a rough idea as to how it's going to look on the car. So what I'm doing is just I'm making a quick mask. Usually you can adjust the color by just going hue and saturation, but because this car has a lot of highlight in it, it's not going to color match well because that white bright light is going to affect the way it color matches, and you'll see what I mean if you try it in your own time. But like I said, I'm going to make a whole different tutorial on color match, but this is going to give you a rough idea as to what it will look like. I use the color replacement tool, sample a bit from the car itself, and just paint it onto the, make sure you got that selected. Right guys, sorry, I just messed up that selection. Let me do that again quickly. Okay. Going against my own advice, you've got to hold down shift, Rob, you idiot. You tell them every time and you don't do it yourself. Do apologise about that, guys. Wasted like time. Alright, so that's a rough selection. You want to right click, go select inverse because we want to affect everything else. Get the colour replacement tool here. Hold down Alt, select a part of the car, and what it is, it's not actually changing the colour to the colour of the car itself, but it's just to get a sample, and then so you've got a base that you can change the colour on. And like I said, it's just to give you a rough idea as to what it's going to look like. Okay, so don't worry what I'm doing. Watch my colour change tutorial if you don't know what's going on, and if you've just joined us and you're thinking he's getting way ahead of the game. It's not intentional, guys. I'm just trying to show you roughly what it's going to look like. So that's nowhere near a perfect colour match, but as you can see, that's the kind of thing that it's going to look like when it's on the car. Okay, and then when you start smudging this in, I mean, smudging you can do if you want. If you want the fitted look, erase it where the fitment lines are on the body. Sorry, I like to smudge. Don't ask why. It's just a habit. It's just the way I've worked. It's just the way I do my work, so don't worry. And as you can see, you can smudge it into the areas that you've missed as well. And it is looking kind of purple, I know, but it's just to give you an idea as to what it's going to roughly look like when you do actually colour match it properly. And like I said, if you have just joined me, I'm going to do a colour matching tutorial for you guys, okay? So don't worry too much about trying to get the colour match perfect initially. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm just rubbing out slightly so you can just sort of see the fade. And as you can see, I mean, it's just to give you a rough idea as to how this looks, guys. And like I said, the colour is not perfect, as you can see, I've missed bits, but for tutorial sake, as you can see, that's the kind of look we're going for. So like I said, you know, you can fit any bumper onto any car, it doesn't matter, possibilities are endless, it's just how far you're willing to try. Okay, so practice, guys. Any questions or comments, please just let me know, okay, and I'll be obviously happy to answer them if I can. And then obviously join us for the next tutorial, which is Bumpers Advanced, and we will be covering the colour matching in a later tutorial. Okay, so this is just to give you a rough idea as to how it looks, and as you can see, that bumper looks like it actually belongs on the RX-8. How scary is that? So that's basically it, and then you can add shadowing like this, but well, that's another tutorial. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time.